Hey everybody, 1.5 million, pretty darn amazing. Thank you everyone who's contributed so far. I think we've said this a bunch of times, but you've really blown us away. We couldn't have expected this sort of response. But anyway, we wanted to update you on a few things, primarily the basics of the game. A lot of people have been asking about the fundamentals, party makeup, party size, nature of the world, races, things like that. So we wanted to cover that in the update. There's a larger blog post that you can see that goes over all the stuff I'm about to talk about in greater detail. I just want to give you an overview of it. So first of all, the party. We feel comfortable talking about the party. The party size can be up to 6. That means your character plus up to 5 companions. The companions are not required. You don't have to take any companions with you. You can fill your party up, alternate them, do whatever you want. If you want to play the whole game solo, you can. We feel companions are a pretty important part of our story and a big part of our tactical combat, but it's ultimately the player's choice. So 6 party members, cool tactical options. Also, formations. Not a lot of people have asked about this, but we think it's a pretty important part of what made the old Infinity Engine games extremely fun. So we want to let you know we will be having formations. When I'm talking about formations, let me just show you here. What I'm talking about is, let's see if you can see this. I'm talking about stuff like this. You can set up your party in a variety of patterns. You can customize, make your own patterns. When you move them around, you can reorient them, sort of set them up however you want, and we feel that it adds a lot, and it's very important to have that. So we already actually have that in working. Pretty cool, but you should know. Character creation, so we have some character creation details. Actually, just look at the blog post, but it covers the specifics of what you're going to be able to customize about your character at a bare minimum. Character customization is really important for us. We talk about the nature of companions in the update, so what they're for, how we approach them. If you've played previous Obsidian games, you probably have an idea of how these work, but if you want reassurances or if you're not quite as familiar, then just check it out. The setup, so we don't want to spoil the story at all, but we do want to give you an idea of the sort of story that we're going for. So the setup in this game is that you are essentially a witness to an extraordinary event, a supernatural event that's kind of horrifying, and it puts you in a very difficult circumstance. That's the easy way to say it. And the main plot revolves around you finding out what you've witnessed and how it's affected you and the people around you. So it's a personal story, but it also ties into a lot of the themes of the world and a lot of the factions that you'll be interacting with. It's very important to us in storytelling that we make your personal role tie into the world around you and show how you have an impact on it and how they have an impact on you. So that's the sort of the setup of our story. So the nature of your character, this is very broad, but again, we wanted to clarify it just in case people were curious. So your character is not of any specific necessary background, ethnic group, sex. You don't have to be part of any special organization. You're a victim of circumstance, essentially. You're put in a situation, and you can deal with it however you want. So we're not setting this up where you have to be the good guy to fix a bad problem or limiting the options available to you. If you want to play someone that gets super mad at anyone that gets in the way of you figuring out what's going on and basically leaves a wake of destruction everywhere you go, you are free to do that. We want to make sure that you feel like you can play the character you want to play. And so because of that, we don't want to bind your character concept to anything particular. Races, it's important to look at the update for this, but we talk about our approach to races. So we want to have a mix of very recognizable traditional fantasy races and less recognizable sort of sub-races of those groups and different ethnic types. We also want to have more unusual but possibly recognizable groups, like we sort of mentioned one called the Godlike in there that could be considered analogs of things like Tieflings or Aasimar or Ganassi or things like that, but have a special place in this world. And then very unusual races that are fantastic but are not things that you found necessarily in any other fantasy world. So we want to have a mix of those things. We do want to make a game that's pretty inclusive and expansive. So we want to show you things that are really cool and interesting takes on traditional subject matter, but also add things that are really fresh. So that's really our goal, and you can read more about it in the update. So that's the majority of the stuff that I wanted to go over. There's a number of other things that we've been talking about for future updates. The nature of souls is very important in this world, so we're going to have an update that talks about that in more detail. Also going to talk about the technology level of this world, since that's something that people have speculated about that I think is important. But yeah, just wanted to give you that update. Like I said, you can read the full details in the post, but thank you so much to everyone who has contributed, whether it's by backing the project directly, asking questions, offering words of encouragement. Again, we really appreciate it. We can't do this without you guys. It's pretty amazing, great opportunity, and thank you so much again.